Hello, I'm back with another video that I didn't think I was gonna make. Um, I'll have to apologize in advance here. I'm very new to the whole idea of being a YouTube content creator, and it may or not be something that I continue to do. Um, but anyway, I wasn't sure if I was gonna do any more videos. Wasn't sure it was worth the effort or the time. But as you would expect, if you've seen any of my videos at all, you would know that I'm collecting figures constantly, so my collection grows, and as you can guess, I got some pretty significant pieces just recently in the last week or so that, gets the juices flowing. And as soon as I got them and got to work on going through them and putting them on my displays, it sort of triggered a question in my mind, a process in my mind that I don't think a lot of people talk about. I've never seen a video about it before, or any text or posts or anything written really about this, even though it's fairly important, I think, for a display like a lot of us have when it comes to figures and things like that. And the topic really of the day is accessories and how to display them. And really it comes down to the grand formula of space and relevancy, and does it work for you and your shelf and your display and your overall collection, and because so many figures these days, it just varies so much. And we're trending towards figures these days that have a lot of accessories, and the old school way of just maybe having one or two extra accessories, like a gun, maybe a stand or a set of hands, is going the way of the dinosaur, right? So we have a wide spectrum of figures and accessories, and getting them to work in your display kind of can sometimes be a struggle, or it can be a challenge anyway. And the figures I got sort of run the gamut, so I thought I'd talk about them and also show them off a little bit. So we'll start with, of the three, the one that probably is on the lower end of the spectrum, which is this Fans Toys drag strip. I already forgot what his real name is from Fans Toys, but he's the fourth member of the Stunticon set, Masterpiece Scale. So he's in there, the yellow one, and he came with just two guns and two purple guns. Kind of zoom in here a little bit here. Two purple guns that were well painted, well sculpted, and then also a driver torso to go with his alt mode, which I'm not going to use because I'm not going to display him in alt mode, but also an alternate head, which I am going to use. So I'm using most of the accessories because I feel like they're relevant and they're nice to show off, and pretty straightforward, right? It's not rocket science to display a figure with just a few of his accessories if he only has a few, and they don't use up a lot of space, and they provide a little bit of a different look. So why not? So he's in here. The shelf is, somewhat unfinished. Obviously, we're still missing the fifth member. I've turned off the lights so that it doesn't wash out as much. You guys know what the lights can do from my previous videos. But yeah, that's one guy, and then we'll swing over to the next figure on the chain, or the sort of the middle of the spectrum as far as accessories go. So here's the next one on the list. It's the new Iron Factory City Commander 2.0. They did an original one many years ago, basically, IDW inspired Ultra Magnus. That was kind of G1-ish also, great for its time, but has been replaced and also been oversized and knocked off and all this other fun stuff. But the most recent release from Iron Factory is this Magnus, who is straight from the comics, IDW style. He's huge in scale with all the other guys that are kind of the IDW aesthetic. I've been looking forward to this guy since he was teased and one of my most highly anticipated figures. And he does not disappoint. He came with two extra guns, shoulder guns, that fit, I think, the source material, but I didn't care for them, so I actually put them, on Fort Max because they're 5mm ports, as you would guess with Iron Factory. They do almost everything they do is 5mm ports. So I took them off and put them on Fort Max, and they actually connect to his giant black gun to form a mace. And while I felt like that could work, like I just didn't have the space to have him holding a mace. That sounded like a song, but holding a mace amongst all these figures. And also on top of that, his articulation, while it's decent for the size and the bulk, it's not good enough to two-hand a mace in a good-looking way, especially amongst all these other figures without knocking somebody over or, basically the mace blocking somebody out entirely. So I decided to go with just him holding his gun. He's kind of stepping out. And then I replaced the shoulder cannons with their Iron Factory's swoop, that figure's missiles, which are, again, 5mm ports. They're great, but they give me sort of a traditional Magnus look, instead of the giant cannons. And he can also open up and have all these extra guns and things, but I thought to kind of keep it in the middle lane, so to speak. He also came with this Minimus Ambus figure, which also transforms, but since I don't have a great connection to this source material or this character, I just have him, he's just in this vehicle mode sitting there. Like, he exists and he's displayed, and he is an accessory, so I have the space, and he does fit the mold, and also gives a little bit of a scale, with the vehicles. And of course, this whole thing gives you the scale of Magnus up against, the regular sized bots and maybe some of the big ones like Jetfire, and of course the Titans, right? So, yeah. This is sort of in the middle, where you use some of the accessories, maybe not all of them, because there's, increasing number, I guess, of accessories that you may not need for any given reason. So in this case, I only use some of them, and also kind of use them for other purposes, so to speak. And then now we'll move over to the last one on this spectrum, which is actually not a Transformers figure, so we'll get right to it. So this is the next figure in the series, I guess, that I got recently that is on the farther end of the spectrum as far as accessories go. It's the Hot Toys Iron Man from Avengers Endgame, Mark 85, I believe. It's like brand new, and I'm one of the few lucky enough to have it right away here in the States. But I'll get right into it here. He came with a bunch of accessories, like a lot. Not a lot as, compared to, I guess, a few others that are out there, but this one is definitely on the farther end of the scale as far as having a lot of accessories. He comes with the Starfish, obviously, some, like I think 2 pairs of extra hands, and then the Nano Gauntlet, and of course the Tony Stark head, and the Hot Toys, official stand, flight stand, etc. So that's a lot, and I don't have all that I don't have that all displayed right here, right? So I have this displayed primarily to just show off what makes sense for this display. And when I ordered these figures, I knew they were going to always be displayed in this kind of manner, where they're kind of going at it, reminiscent of the movie. The scene you could almost say is off-camera scene from the movie, where they're in scale with each other. You can see them kind of going at it and showing the articulation, the balance, the details, the look of the figures in scale with each other. And specifically Iron Man, I've got the Starfish obviously on there. He's got one of his articulated hands and then the repulsor hand as well. And I've also posed him so that, you can really see the engineering behind the figure, down here in one of the arms, the bicep flap that comes up so that he can get the figure can do a greater than 90-degree bend at the elbow and still have his hand up, up against the sword. And the torso is twisted so that those flaps that open up allow the torso to twist and extend a little bit And true, the same thing can be said for the legs, the lower legs, and the ankles, and all that. So where are all the other accessories? And that was a challenge. Obviously, he's got extra hands. You're not going to display them, right? And he's not with the figure, and you're not going to have his extra head. And a nano gauntlet just doesn't quite make sense with this display, this setup, right? So I decided to put those extra accessories down here in this lower shelf with my RGB light and arc reactor blue, which is, those are all of his accessories: the 2 extra hands, the stand, the Tony Stark head, and a nano gauntlet. Yeah, and once I did this, I decided, well, you know what? Why don't I just do that with Thanos as well? So, Thanos is here. He's obviously utilizing his extra head and his sword, but all his other accessories, he comes with 3 pairs of hands as well, and also a head and the gauntlets and all that fun stuff. So I've got them down here in purple, and I think it kind of works. And it should be noted that I think I definitely have at least a short-term goal or intention of displaying mostly Marvel figures here. So I've got 2 more Hot Toys figures coming in the same vein of these 2. You can probably guess who they are, and they will obviously have plenty of accessories, which I think I will probably also put down in the lower shelves. And I think that will work. So yeah, that's the other extreme, I guess, the farther extreme of having a lot of accessories and not even knowing what to do with them. So those are the 3 new figures that I got that sort of triggered this whole conversation and sort of gave me a chance to do a little bit of thought process as far as how to deal with accessories, and that triggered me doing this video. And I'll close with a little discussion here about, I guess, some other extremes and some other examples that I have in my collection. So we went through some of my newer figures, but I wanted to also talk about some other figures that sort of are exceptions to the rule, whatever that rule might be for you and your collection and your display when it comes to figures and their accessories. Right here we've got, this is the official MP44 Optimus Prime, right? And he's an expensive figure. Why? Probably almost entirely because he comes with a ridiculous number of accessories. The trailer, a roller, the Energon axe, the jetpack, and all sorts of things, right? And then I think he even comes with Starscream's upper shoulders and head. He's like the only figure I know where he came with some other character's head and shoulders. So, but none of that stuff matters, right? You would never display, I don't think there's any reason to display any of that stuff. Optimus Prime is one of those characters where you see him and you know him, right? And for me, like, all those accessories are pointless. They're all hidden away in the box, and I just have him standing here with his gun because I think that you have to be living under a tree not to really understand or appreciate who Optimus Prime is and what he looks like and what he does to your display. So he's one of those weird rules, and I would say that his counterpart, Megatron, the official one, is in the same vein. You know what he's about. He came with a ton of accessories, which are all really nice, but they're not something you would ever display or really use. So those are 2 characters that kind of, have a different feel about them, a different purpose in any given display, right? We'll move down here and some of the other simpler ones. So we got a Jazz here who's, he came with a megaphone, so I'm going to display that because that's kind of true to his character, a very unique accessory that you kind of think of something that he would have, so he's definitely displayed with it. He comes with 2 megaphones, so I didn't feel like I needed to have 2. 1 is plenty enough. And plenty of other more vanilla figures that just come with a gun or a shoulder rocket or whatever. And then we'll go over here, and here's one that is kind of unique. The Sunstreaker. This is official masterpiece Sunstreaker. He, just like a lot of figures, as you can guess, he came with a gun, you know. Actually, I think he came with two guns, one that stores in his leg, and then his normal silver rifle. But I'm not displaying it with either one of those guns, right? Because I figured, there's plenty of figures on any given display that have guns. We all know that he probably came with a gun. But this chip chase accessory is pretty unique. So I thought I'd throw that in there and put him in a pose that's different from what you might normally see, and give it a little bit of different look, a little bit different attitude for, a robot that's supposed to be able to do massive carnage, right? And then we move up a little bit here and we can see Inferno, which is also kind of a unique accessory, his little water spout. So I decided to make that look like make use of it in the display. And again, he probably came with a gun. He did come with a gun, but again, we got plenty of figures who come with guns. We know that he came with a gun. Like, it doesn't really need to be displayed if you got a different option, right? So he's shooting water, so that's another one. And I think my Ironhide, or no, not my Ironhide, my Ratchet's kind of the same story. Ratchet came with lots of guns and different things, but I decided to just display him, with a wrench. Because it's true to his character, and the heck with all his other weird accessories. And then we'll switch over here, and here's one that's definitely on the extreme side. This Toy World third-party Bumblebee Optimus Prime. He came with just an enormous number of accessories. This is the deluxe edition, so he came with, these two axes that form a shield, multiple guns and rifles, and then these two armor crates, and then of course even the stand, and I think he even came with another head. And none of those things actually have, I think, any connection to the source material, so they're pretty irrelevant in my opinion. But just the fact that this company went above and beyond to give you so much stuff, I felt like I had to use it. I had to display it, and just to make a point that like these guys gave us a bunch of stuff, and it does kind of give me a chance to add some layers here with some smaller figures to stand on the crates. But this is another one that's kind of a strange exception to the rule and changes the equation, so to speak, of what accessories you have and if they fit in your space or if they're relevant. And then down here is another one that is got to display it if you got it. And this is the Soul of Chogokin Voltron. That this is an expensive figure, very nice figure, and to me that accessory rack essentially had to be displayed. To show the fact that they made something like that for all of the accessories, that you couldn't use them, because if you're gonna display Voltron, he's not in line. They're not in line form. So all these accessories, I think, are entirely for the lion form. So they're there to show that this piece came with a lot of accessories, and of course to obviously imply that yes, this Voltron separates into the lions and they transform to make use of all the accessories here. There's also the shield under there and the little Voltron plaque. So to me, I felt like I had to make the space to incorporate all these accessories. And that kind of, allows me to segue into some of the figures I don't have that you really have to think about. And when I think about it in my head, one of them is like the new Hot Toys Mandalorian figure that I think is the deluxe one that comes with like two baby Yodas and all of his weapons, a stand, the egg, and even like a whistling birds effect. Like they just went bananas, right? And a figure like that, I feel like you couldn't display it unless you could find a way to display literally every single one of those items. And I can't even imagine how I would do that, but I know that if I had that figure, and I have no interest of ever getting it, but if I had that figure, I would really struggle with that. I would have to find like almost like an entire shelf just for him. And I think that would probably be true for even something like, I think Hot Toys has like a Batman, Christian Bale, Dark Knight Batman that has, a ton of accessories that, just true to the essence of the figure. Just like the Mandalorian is a Mandalorian almost entirely because of his toys, Batman is Batman because of all of his toys. Like, you need to show all the toys with the figure, and you need to make space for the figure in all those spaces, and display them, light them, and all that to make it, to give it its wow factor and really do the figure justice. So, anyway, I guess that's just about it. Um, I definitely talked for a while here, especially since I'm just talking about accessories. But yeah, it's something that I've been thinking about a lot, and I think about all the time whenever I get new figures and rearrange my displays. And I think it's something that probably everybody thinks of, but nobody really writes down or documents or puts down in a video. So I thought I'd make one, see if anybody cares or has any of the sort of the same ideas and thought processes in their heads, as opposed to just, shoveling a bunch of accessories into a box, into an attic or closet, never seeing them, and trying to make use of these accessories you essentially paid for as well, right? They're part of the package. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.